Hello and welcome back to Boob Buddies. I am Noreen, one of your Boob Buddies.
And I'm Stephanie, your other boob buddy.
We're so excited today to talk about a topic. I think that a lot of women that are faced with this decision or this necessity, I have a mastectomy, I have to have or a prophylactic mastectomy. And it's the question of, will I look normal after my surgery? So can you start with how did you feel about going into this? Did you even think about it?
I did and I didn't. So I think I was 42. My children were young. My most important thing was getting through it, getting better quick, being healthy so that I could live a long, healthy, happy life with them. Yes, then after the surgery, I looked in the mirror and it took me a couple of days before I actually took a look at what everything looked like. It was a little scary. As a nurse, I've seen many patients and I knew what to expect, but it's different when you're looking in the mirror and it's yourself. So it did take me probably about 4 or 5 days to actually take everything down and take a look at it. And I was pleasantly surprised. It was a lot better than I thought. So for me, I was thinking it was going to be a lot worse. What about you?
So similar. I didn't really think about it. I made the decision. I just wanted it done. And the same thing. So when you come out of surgery, you're in this big, ugly bra.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about bras another day. You have a lot of fluff, a lot of dressings on you, and you don't really look at it for the first, I want to say, same with me.
At least 4 or 5 days.
I had a dressing change the day after. And after that, I went back to my doctor and they show you how to do the dressing changes. You can bring someone with you to help you. But it probably wasn't for a good week that I actually took everything off. And I will tell you, I was shocked at what I saw. It was not a pleasant experience for me. You know, you see all these incisions all over you, and depending on exactly what your doctor decides to do and whether you have cancer or not and where it is, that will determine where your incisions are. I think we've talked about that in the past. But I was completely flat. I did have the expanders in me, so you can kind of see the edges of the expanders. And then I had this incision and
Drains?
4 drains. So I had tubes coming out of you. So I have to say, I was really shocked. And it took me a little while to be like, this is going to be okay. Right. You're going to get through this. Right. But I think it's all part of coming to grips with it. But I think the bigger question is, and I think it's important if you are going through this, and again, the surgeons, the doctors are amazing, but they are there for one purpose: to make you well, to do the best job that they can. Yeah. And sometimes they forget, and especially if they haven't been through it, they forget to even say to you, this is not going to look so good. It may be upsetting. It's normal. It's, again, like I've said in the past, we've said, you're losing a part of your body. It's an amputation. And when you first look at it, it is quite shocking. But let's talk about afterwards.
After, again, it takes a few weeks. If you're lucky, you get some tissue expanders put in. Sometimes they can put a little bit of fluid in there so that you're not concave, you're a little flat, maybe a tiny bit bigger. Tissue expanders, basically, I like to explain them as water balloons. And so they put in an empty water balloon inside. It's a tissue expander, but then there's a port. And every 2 weeks you go in and the plastic surgeon or the office, the nurse or the plastic surgeon will take and find the port and push in a little bit of, I think it's normal saline, sterile water, and it kind of builds up that water balloon. And what that's doing is preparing your area, your mastectomy area, to make a ready place for an implant to go. It stretches the skin and it gets everything all healed. Some surgeons can put an implant in directly from surgery. Most times that's not the case, and you do need the tissue expanders. And again, that just gets that area ready for the real implants. As far as healing, everybody heals differently. So everybody is going to look at themselves. They're going to heal differently. They're going to feel differently. Again, as a nurse, it was very easy for me to take care of myself. I knew what to expect. I knew my process was going to be okay. Bruising went away. Once the drains came out, I feel as though I definitely felt great. The drains were, for me, one of the worst parts of the after surgery.
I agree with that. The drains, because you have tubing that kind of wraps around your breasts, and then they are pulled out, and it is such a relief.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I want to say is everyone says, will I be normal? Will I look normal? Well, what is normal? I actually, that word is really a tough word because what is normal for one person may not be normal for another person. So, what I will tell you is that your plastic surgeon will work with you and you will see, you will get the opportunity to see pictures before and afters. So, what your normal will be might be different than my normal. It's funny, and I don't know if you felt this way, but when you do go through this process,
Mhm.
you'll meet random women that'll say, "Ooh, can I see?"
All the time. Can I touch? Can I see?
And I will say in the beginning, I felt like it took me years to feel like these were mine.
Yeah.
So I would pretty much show anyone. I would obviously not in public,
Not the guys,
but
not the
yeah,
guys.
but
We're
I
showing
would
women.
go into the bathroom and I would show other women. In fact, in my plastic surgeon's office, I always said to him, if there's anything I can do to help, again, because I felt so blessed with my journey. And the one day he said, "Do you really mean that?" And I said, "Yes." So I went next door. There
Mhm.
was a woman contemplating. She had triple negative breast cancer. She knew she needed to do something, but it was early. So she was debating a lumpectomy versus a mastectomy. She was with her mom. And it's funny, I just ran into them and I've remained friends with her. I basically flashed them. I
Right,
said, "Do
right.
you want to see them?" She said, "Oh, I would love to see them."
Mhm.
So I think anyone out there, if you're again in this situation and you are really concerned, and it is a concern for everyone. I mean, first and foremost, you want to get the disease out of you, but it is a concern is will I look normal afterwards? And I think a great thing to do is to try to see someone who has gone through this, who's willing to show you, because there's nothing like
Right,
in person.
right.
And there's a lot of women that are willing to share and be that
Good. Yeah,
transparent and
open.
open with you.
I agree, and I think that's the greatest. If you can find somebody that can make you feel comfortable about your decision, it really does help. And yeah, in my business with the nipple tattooing, many of my patients will ask if they can see mine. So I'm a little hesitant with my nipple tattooing patients because I had nipple sparing.
Right. And that's,
So it's a little different. So I
yes.
feel a little guilty showing them that yes, I still have my nipples. There might be east-west nipples at times, and we'll get into what that means, north-south, east-west nipples. But I still show them. And I explain to them that, I was able to keep my nipples because my breast cancer was not near them. Most women do have to have them removed. And then that leaves one big scar in the middle of the implant, which is when they come to me for the nipple tattooing. And then we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I'm more than willing to share any information I have with anybody that's going to help them make a more comfortable, informed decision.
Yes. And the same with me. I'm more than willing to share anything. And then let's talk a little bit about the scars because that's a big concern too. I will say, when I first saw my scars, I think that's for me. And again, I had nothing. I do have incisions under the breast, but at the time I had nothing. So it just went straight across a big straight line. It was very red. It was brand new. However, it is amazing as you heal, and it takes months, and there are different, when you first have this done and the dressings are being changed, there are different ointments and things that the doctors
Mhm.
will give you to put on it. And then there are things afterwards, say 3 months down the road, where you can use, I found an amazing silicone tape. Actually,
Silicone.
back then, because I'm going through something similar now, back then when I had it done, it was like this thick stuff. It was really
Mhm.
expensive. It was hard to find.
Right.
It didn't stay on.
You
Now, oh
get it
my
from
gosh.
any pharmacy.
Yeah, it comes in a
Yep.
little roll
Yeah.
and you can cut it the length of your incision and put it on. That's for several months down the road. But it is amazing how well these incisions do heal and how much they fade over time. And again, if you are someone who you need to have your nipple removed, the incision is typically in the center of your breast, but then that nipple goes on top of
Mhm.
it. And yes, you can see it. It is a remnant, but it fades a lot
A lot.
over time.
So the first question I get when I have a patient come in and I do that consultation for a nipple tattoo is, can you do something with my scars? Can you please do something with my scars? So I explain to them that once I do the nipple tattoo, those scars, you almost don't even see them anymore. Because what I'll do is I'll measure a certain distance and decide where I think the nipples should go. I will take my little stencil and I'll stencil and I'll pencil them on and the size and where I think they should go. And typically, a lot of the times they do go right in between on the scar. So once I'm tattooing, And that tattoo is there. When they look in the mirror and they see their 3D nipple, you no longer really see the scar. The scar's not the main event anymore. It's those 3D nipples. And I always say to them, I will tattoo your scar after your nipple if you feel as though they're still that bad. And I don't think anyone's ever really come back and had I need these scars tattooed. I've done a few of them, but honestly, most people, once they have those nipple tattoos, that is the focus. When you look in the mirror, that's what they see, and they really don't see their scars anymore.
And I will say it is absolutely amazing. The tattooing, a friend of mine who had this, and this was years ago, and she's like, "Do you want to see them, Noor?" And of
I know
course,
exactly
yes.
who your friend is because she
Yes.
showed me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I actually had to say to her, "Can I touch that?"
Yeah.
Because they look so real.
Yes.
So that's one option after if the nipple is removed, to do a 3D tattoo, which is so nice because they're flat.
Right.
If you're not a nipple person, I know there's a lot of people, unfortunately, my niece right now going through this, who's really young. She cannot wait to have that nipple again.
Mhm.
And her surgeon will do, she'll take some skin at the very end, and she'll actually create a nub around it that will be a nipple that you can actually touch, and it looks like a real nipple. And then the tattoo will go around the nipple,
Areola. Mhm.
right, for the areola.
Yeah.
So that's something I hadn't heard of.
Yes, I do a lot of those, and I actually prefer those.
Oh,
I'll tell you why. For me, as the tattoo nurse, if they're coming in with a nipple, I don't have to measure and place
oh,
and
right,
decide where they're going to go.
right.
The nipples are there, the areola goes right around them. So it's really pretty easy. We just decide on a size, and I color on the size for them. And then they say yes, we look in it, and I tattoo around that nipple that was made by the doctor. When I was newer, when I was doing the tattoos a long time ago, I used to try to actually tattoo the nipple also to give it a little bit of color. I find that the tattoos the ink doesn't stick into that newly made nipple. There's just not enough absorption. So I really don't anymore. I just go right around it up as close as I can, and it looks amazing. It does.
So that's at the very end of your journey. It's like you said this before, the icing on the cake.
The cherry on the cupcake.
Cherry on the
Yeah.
cupcake. So that's a really nice addition.
It is.
But to back up just a little bit, the most important thing going into this is you want to make sure at the end of this that you are going to be healthy. We know that there are a lot of different scenarios where, like us, where we were fortunate enough just to have the mastectomy, and then we did not have to go through the chemo and the radiation.
Sure.
But there are a lot of women out there who have to go through chemo, who have to go through radiation. And that's a whole other story
Right.
that maybe one of the doctors can get into one time, about the impact of radiation on the breast tissue itself and healing.
And the skin itself. When a certain side is radiated, a lot of times I can tell which side that is while I'm tattooing, only because the ink sometimes is a little more difficult to get through that skin, because the skin is kind of hard and almost like leathery, like somebody who's sat out in the sun forever. You get that leathery skin that it's more difficult to get that ink in there. I'll get it in there. You might need another touch up, but the radiation does do a little bit of changes to the outside of the skin.
Right.
So the nipples, there are so many different scenarios that can go through. So basically what you have to do is figure out what scenario works for you by talking with your doctors and your practitioners as to what is going to be best. Are you nipple sparing? Are you not nipple sparing? Are you direct implant? Are you not, where you need tissue expanders? Once all that stuff is kind of paved out for you, at the end is then we'll talk about the cosmetic part of it, the nipple tattooing. But most importantly, you all need to be comfortable with your decision and come out of this alive and healthy and happy like we have. And this is what we're here for.
And knowing that your body image, you are so much more than breasts, knowing that you will get back to your norm, knowing that in a shirt, when you're covered, everything looks the same. No one would ever know that we have had a mastectomy unless we talk about it. Yes, it's a little different when you have your clothes off, but it just takes time. It takes you to be patient with yourself. If you have a partner, it takes them to have patience as well, to understand what you're going through. This is real. The whole body image, it can have a lot of psychological impact on you. So just understanding that you will get through it, that it's not going to look like it did before, but this is your new normal. Again, I hate that word, whatever that is for you, your new normal, and scars will fade. And this is why we ended up naming this Scars
to
Stars. because those scars will fade and I will look at my scars and see my incisions, and it is a memory that it's part of my journey, right? And
Scars are just the stars in your journey.
exactly. Yes. Yes, that's our logo.
That's our logo.
The scars are just the stars in your journey.
Those scars are just a part of our life. They're just roadmaps and they tell a story, and we're here to try to make that story as pleasant as can be. And we are here for you, Boo Buddies, Scars to Stars. Please reach out if you have any questions.
Yes.
If we can help anybody, please share our videos. We want the word out there, and we just are here to be your support.
And we want to talk about it. The more you talk about it and the more support you have, the easier it is to get through. Don't go through this alone. You are not alone. You're never alone. Even if you have people in your life that have not gone through this, they're there to support you. And if you feel like you can't talk about things like this with them, you have us, you have friends. There are people out there that are here to guide you and here to help you. And at the end of the day, beauty is within. Everyone has their own beauty within, and that outer side, although it may change, you are still a beautiful, whole person, and you are just going to be awesome. So thank you so much for listening in today. We are so happy that you joined us.
Keep shining, keep laughing, keep thriving. We love you.
Have a great day.